Dylan Cease has officially been traded from the Chicago White Sox to the San Diego Padres in a huge blockbuster just 1 week before the career series where the Padres head over to face the Los Angeles Dodgers to start the MLB season. Cease is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and with a ton of talent in the Padres farm system, the White Sox were expecting to get a big return for Cease. That's the reason why they've held out to trade him for so long. They wanted to get the best offer that they could for him, and they felt like this Padres offer was the one that was best suited for them. Rumor had it that the Giants and Rangers were also in on this deal, and other teams like the Yankees also had interest and had shot offers, but at the end of the day, the Padres ended up winning out and now acquire the services of one of baseball's best. In return, the Padres end up giving up a couple big prospects from their minor league system, one of whom they actually got in the Juan Soto trade, so this is a full circle moment. I really don't know why they decided to trade Juan Soto and then go all in for a 2-year piece in Dylan Cease. I think that you should probably go and try to win a World Series this year with your team, but AJ Preller has his own ideas, and it's going to be hard to convince him to do something normal ever. That's just the way the GM of the Padres works, and there's not much we can do about it as fans. As always, if you could go ahead and drop a like or subscribe to the channel, it really helps out a lot. It helps my channel grow, tells you like these baseball trade review videos, and will get you more awesome content, not only from me, but from really great baseball creators out there as well. Also, feel free to go out in the comments and answer the question of the day, which is what grade would you give the White Sox in the return package that I'll describe for Dylan Cease. So without further ado, let's dive into this deal, see what the Padres are getting in Dylan Cease, and what prospects the White Sox are adding to their now increasingly interesting farm system. Given the White Sox current contention window, Dylan Cease has been expendable to them. Obviously, he would be an ace and their opening day starter, although there is some speculation as to that would have actually happened based on their manager's comments. There's no doubt to anyone that Cease is an ace. The best example is his 2022 season, where he was absolutely dominant en route to a second place AL Cy Young finish. Cease dominated in 2022 with a 2.2 ERA, a whip just above 1.1, and he struck out more than 30% of the batters he faced. Although he did lead the American League in walks, that's just part of his game. Control has never been a huge asset as part of his repertoire. His fastball is good. It averages around 96, 97, and it can occasionally touch 100, but that's on the high end of the bell curve. But his main pitch is a slider that averages around 87 miles an hour. He can sometimes bump it up to 90, but it sits around 86, 87 on a yearly basis, and that is exactly the pitch that wins him games. Looking at the run value for sliders in the 2022 season paints a picture of just how good it was. A run value of 36 is more than 10 higher than the next highest in Edwin Diaz. The slider is dominant and he uses it very effectively to get outs, and it's a big part of why his 2022 was so successful. His Baseball Savant page from 2022 has a ton of red on it, which is good. He's in the 90th percentile or higher in a ton of stats, and a lot of others he's in the 80th or 85th percentile as well. He struck out a lot of guys, he made guys chase, and although he did walk a lot of batters, he ended up having very good peripherals around it with the 90th percentile xERA, 96th percentile expected batting average, and one of the lowest hard hit percentages and average exit velocities in the majors in 2022. So I've talked enough about how good he's been in 2022, but 2023 just happened last season. That's probably a little more pertinent to what he's done. Unfortunately for Dylan Cease, he has recessed a little bit. He definitely faltered, allowing more people to get on base, striking out a little bit less and walking a little bit less as well, but people end up making more hard contact and more good contact against him, and that really made his ability to get guys out and to prevent runs lower than it was in 2022. It was so bad that he didn't get a single Cy Young vote after going and getting second place in 2022. Looking at his 2023 StatCast page, you see a ton of stats where he was in the 90th or 85th percentile in 2022, now below the league average. He really struggled last season, and there's a lot of mechanics that go into exactly why. Obviously, playing in a hitter's park like Guaranteed Rate where the White Sox play does not help his fact, but the biggest attribute in my opinion is the lack of spin on his slider. He went from having a league best 32 run value on his slider in 2022 to not even being the best on his team with only 10 in 2023. That is a huge change and is a big reason why he really did not have as much success in 2023. If he can get his spin rate back and get his feel for this pitch as he had it in 2022, he's going to be in very good shape for the San Diego Padres. Yes, he does have great Stuff Plus. He was 5th in all of Major League Baseball at 115. Stuff Plus is an advanced stat that looks at how good your peripheral stuff is, and that's really what people get excited about with Cease, is his arsenal of off-speed pitches. But unless he can get his contact rate down, his fastball velocity up, he's going to struggle again. There's obviously the potential for him to be great. He's already shown that he can be. And now that he goes to one of the best pitchers parks in baseball, I think there's a decent chance to see him be reformed and be a very good pitcher in San Diego this year. The Padres are a good team at developing and reforming pitching. They're not the best in the league. Other teams like the Dodgers and Astros are probably at the top of that list, but the Padres do a good enough job, and they always seem to have a couple really good pitching prospects in their minor league system, both a testament to their draft ability, but also the ability to develop and ensure that these players have good arsenals, good control, and are able to make an impact at the major league level. I expect Cease to go over a couple tweaks this offseason and have the Padres really try and get exactly what they want in the couple weeks before spring training hits. The Pirates dipped into their pitching prospects pool, which they already have a bunch of and got even more of from the trade that sent Juan Soto to the Yankees. And to start off that group, we're going to talk about the least notable player who still has a lot of potential in Jairo Iriarte. According to MLB Pipeline's recently released top 30 rankings, he ranks as the 8th best player in the farm system for the Padres and the 3rd best right-handed pitching prospect, behind lefty Robbie Snelling as well. But the Padres have a very top-heavy system. This is an argument to be made for the top 6 players to be in the top 100. So it's not like Iriarte being at 8 is somehow a top 300, 400 prospect in baseball. He is a very good player and has the potential to be a top 100 prospect if a bunch of people graduate at the beginning of the year, which there's a decent chance they do, with a lot of really good players at the top of the prospect rankings. Iriarte signed in the July 2018 international signing period out to Venezuela, and during that period, due to some previous infractions, the Padres were only able to hand out $300,000 in signing bonuses, max to a single player during that signing period. That limited them from selecting some of the top guys, but they ended up getting Iriarte for only $75,000. Over the last 5 years in the minor league system, he's really blossomed and come into his own, which is not something you see very often from international signings. Pitchers tend to be the longest to develop and the hardest to develop, and that's why you see high school pitchers in drafts end up falling, because they have the higher risk, even though a lot of times they have higher reward. And when it comes to the international market, you very rarely see pitchers getting big dollars because there's so much risk attached to a 16 or 17-year-old just coming out who hasn't had a lot of experience and is really hard to project. To give someone like that millions of dollars is a very hard thing for teams to do, so you often see guys who have $75,000 like Iriarte end up making it big simply because they had the stuff to click, and teams aren't willing to shell out big bucks for pitchers. At only 22 years old, but already on the 40-man roster, Iriarte is definitely knocking on the door of the major leagues, and he made it up to AAA at the end of 2023. He might not start the season with the White Sox, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him get a midseason call-up at some point. Given that they now have a rotation spot open, maybe they try him there, but I wouldn't be shocked if the next pitcher we're going to talk about ends up filling that role first. Iriarte has played in a mix of starting and relieving throughout his career, but it seems like the Padres have been pushing him a little bit more to be a starter just to see if he can do it. He provides a lot of value there with a very good 3-pitch mix, with all pitches being above average. By far his best pitch is his fastball, which has a lot of late life and can touch 98 miles an hour. It's something that can really get hitters behind the count at the beginning of the count or put them away at the end. It's a very valuable pitch, and because of that, and that fastball was a big reason why he was able to rack up 128 strikeouts in just over 90 innings pitched between high A and double A this season. Given his ability and his potential, the Padres did move him into relief role, as I'd already mentioned, but they started to stretch him out after he made his appearances in double A because he does have the potential to be a good starter. I want to just reinforce it as we talk about him, because as I talk about him more, you'll see that this is a very typical relief build. His other 2 pitches are a slider that doesn't tunnel well with the fastball but has a lot of late break and is really deceptive to hitters, and a changeup that does tunnel well with the fastball and drops out of nowhere. Iriarte does a good job of mixing these pitches, and coming together in a 70-pitch outing, maybe a 4 or 5 inning role, has really suited him well so far in his minor league career. Given his swing and miss arsenal, it's very easy to see him being a top-of-the-line starter if he meets his potential, but his walk rates are atrocious, a 13.5% walk rate at AA, which was really not great. Hitters weren't willing to chase outside the zone, and that really hindered his ability to get batters out. If he can start to control his pitches a little better or find ways to get batters to swing and miss outside the zone, things will get better. The jump to AA is seen as the hardest in all of the minor leagues, save for AAA to the major leagues, So I don't look into that too much, especially because he was only 22 when the median age is a little bit higher in AA. He definitely has the potential to be a very good player, and if he can get his control under control, pun intended, he will be a good starter in the major leagues, and if not, he definitely has the ability to sit in the back end of a bullpen. Drew Thorpe is the biggest name prospect-wise in this deal, and he was the centerpiece of the trade that sent Juan Soto to the New York Yankees. One could argue Michael King, but in terms of prospects, Drew Thorpe is a guaranteed top 100 prospect across any system you look at. Baseball America, MLB.com, The Athletic, whatever you want to look at, Drew Thorpe is likely there, and he has the potential to be a top-of-the-line starter at the major league level. He's been very good in spring training as well, with 7 innings pitched without allowing an earned run, and that's something that's very exciting for White Sox fans to look at. Thorpe, who was a second-round pick in the 2022 MLB draft by the Yankees, is almost the opposite of Iriarte. Both should make the major leagues this year, and both are within a year of each other in terms of age. Thorpe is 23, Iriarte was 22, but the pitch mix and the ability to be a starter are two very different things when looking at both prospects. Thorpe has always been a starter and most likely will be for the remainder of his career. He was Cal Poly's Friday night starter in college and became a consensus All-American his senior year after setting a school record with 149 strikeouts and just over 100 innings pitched. He finished 2023 as MLB Pipeline's pitching prospect of the year, and that just shows you how impressive he's been. He was dominant in the Yankee system and is a big reason why the White Sox want him back. You trade away a star pitcher, get someone who has the potential to be a very good pitcher back in return, and that's kind of what you want. You want someone who has the potential to be great, and Thorpe has that potential. With Iriarte, we talk about his fastball and how that is by far his best pitch, and with Thorpe, it's more of an average pitch. It borders around 93, 94, and it hasn't wowed anyone during his career, but his high strikeout rate is not because of his fastball like Iriarte's is. It's because of one of the most dominant changeups in all of the minor leagues. You just saw right there an easy strikeout with that changeup, and that's because it just has incredible break. He sells it exceptionally well, and it looks just like his fastball before slowly and quickly dropping, just like that. It fools batters like crazy, and with the makings of a really nice cutter and exceptional control, he has the potential to be a front-of-the-line starter in the future. Those two pitches helped him lead all minor league starters with an 18.6% swinging strike rate, which is incredibly impressive across all minor league levels. Ideally, you'd add a tick or two more to his velocity on that fastball to really kind of get that push towards being up to speed with major league hitters, but you've seen guys have success with lower fastballs before, and the fact that his changeup is that good and his cutter is above average helps make up for that deficit. Just looking at his record is exciting enough. A 14-2 record across 2 minor league levels, both high A and AA this year. In AA across 5 games, he had a 4-0 record with a 1.48 ERA. That is just crazy. Across 30 innings pitched, he had 44 strikeouts, a whip of .066, an average below .15. He dominated at the biggest jump between high A and AA in all the minor leagues. I wouldn't be shocked to see him rush up, start the year in AAA, or even if with a couple good showings in Chicago spring training, make the opening day roster in what should have one of the weakest rotations, save for maybe Oakland, in all of baseball. Thorpe is a very good pitcher, a top 100 prospect, and someone you should see rise up prospect rankings mid-season if he doesn't make his debut and graduate by the time those rankings come out. With top 15 overall prospect in baseball, Jackson Merrill making the transition to center field, grabbing on very quickly to the position, and now most likely starting there on opening day in Korea, it made some of the outfield prospects the Padres have a little expendable, even though their outfield depth is not great. Their top-rated prospect in the outfield is Samuel Zavala, a left-handed hitter who is only 19 years old, who signed out of Venezuela in the January 2021 international signing period for $1.2 million. The Padres are known for being aggressive with their prospects, especially their international signings at the top of their class, such as Ethan Salas last year and most likely Leo DeVries this year. Zavala was eagerly pushed up the minor leagues, and he's made it all the way up to high A by the time he was only 19. Granted, he wasn't great after that promotion, 4 hits in 14 games, leading to a .078 batting average, a .161 on base, and a slugging below .1, not 1, .1. Granted, he was very young for the class. 19-year-olds in high A are almost 3 to 4 years younger than the average age of the people playing, so he has a lot of room to grow and develop. It's not like he was playing average competition. He was playing much older than what he actually was, so this number doesn't scare me and shouldn't scare you a ton. Obviously, you'd like to see him do a little bit better, but he's facing more advanced competition, people who just graduated college and are now going and pitching in high A, so it's not something you should be super worried about if you're looking at his stat line. And comparing that to single A, which still he was young for the class, but has more people close to his age, he had an OPS of 871, so he definitely hit well at that level, and it was just the jump at the end of the season that gave him a little bit of trouble. So I definitely expect him to come and rebound, start with Chicago's high A team, and just have them push him to get as good as he can at that level before potentially even making the jump to Double A at the end of the season this year. To do that at age 20 would be incredibly impressive, so we'll see if they actually do that, but the White Sox aren't known to push prospects, but given that Zavala has already been pushed, maybe they want to follow that same approach. The number 7 prospect in the Padres system, according to MLB Pipeline, he's up that high not because he has an outstanding tool like Drew Thorpe's changeup or Jairo Iriarte's fastball, but because he's a good all-around player and can do everything on the diamond well. He's not going to win you a batting crown, but he'll hit for average and get on base a little bit as well. He's not going to hit for power, but you wouldn't be shocked to see a 20 to 25 home run season out of him. Especially with the new stolen base rules, I wouldn't be shocked if he also goes and has a 15 to 20 stolen base season as well, and he provides decent enough defense that he could potentially patrol center field. Although in my opinion, he's best suited for a corner outfield spot because he just doesn't have the defensive chops to stick in center field long term. Center field is a very hard position to play, and he just doesn't have that range and the speed to go play it effectively, but when you're playing at a smaller ballpark, he definitely has that ability. I just think, based on his defensive skills and his offensive ability, a corner outfield, particularly right field, given that he doesn't have an incredible arm, but he does have an above average arm, is probably best suited for him. Given some more development time, I wouldn't be shocked to see him getting a midseason call-up next year if the White Sox are aggressive with him, or if not, maybe a 2026 opening day spot or midseason spot then. So the White Sox have some time to kind of get exactly what they want out of him and develop him the way they would like him to be. The last player involved in this deal is already a major leaguer in Steven Wilson, a relief pitcher who probably sets up best as a middle to late inning guy who can go ahead and get a couple holds for a White Sox team that shouldn't win a ton of games this season. Wilson is a classic case of an old reliever who debuted late, as he made his major league debut in 2022, and so he has still a lot of time of control despite being 30 by the end of the 2024 season. Steven Wilson is basically just Dylan Cease in reliever form without a dominant pitch. He does a good job of striking batters out, but he walks a ton of guys, and that really hurts his FIP, which is above 4.5 this season, which is not great. His biggest issue is when they do make contact, that contact is pretty loud and does cause a lot of damage, so as long as he can go ahead and limit that, although he is going to a worse pitcher's park, things should be okay. I don't expect him to be great, but he could be a late inning option, maybe setting up for someone like Jordan Leisure to close out games when the White Sox do end up having a lead. Now that we reviewed everyone in this deal, let's shoot some grades for each team in this deal. For the White Sox, I'm going to give them a B-, and this one took a lot of thought into exactly what I was going to give them. Based on what Corbin Burns got, this isn't a worse deal, but I still don't love it for the White Sox. I think Iriarte is going to end up in a bullpen role at the end of the day, and Drew Thorpe should be good, but he still has to tap into the ability to be good at a higher level in order to really succeed. He definitely has the pieces to do that, and he had a great 2023 and a very good spring training so far this year. So if he sticks that up, the White Sox are going to recoup that value. Zavala has the potential to be very good as well, but he's still young and up and coming, and he didn't do great at high A last year, so see how he does this year to see if he's going to rise up rankings or fall. I wouldn't be shocked if he falls if he has a similar campaign, even though, again, he was placed aggressively in high A. People get reactive, especially with international prospects. Prospect fatigue is real, where you hear a name over and over and over again. Jason Dominguez is a very common example of that, so we'll see how that works out. Steven Wilson also doesn't excite me. He's going to be a back-end piece. Jordan Leisure, I think, will take that closing job and dominate with it. Steven Wilson's there. He'll be a 6th inning guy, 7th inning guy. Congrats to him, but he seems like a throw-in just to have another name on the Major League roster. Sometimes a B- seems high, sometimes it seems low. I feel like this is just a good middle ground of, you did a good job, you got some pieces that can really help you, but losing Dylan Cease is going to hurt, and I do wonder if there was a better deal out there. Apparently the Rangers were making a push, and the Rangers have some really good prospects of their own, and a little bit of a logjam in the outfield in terms of guys who are coming up in the next couple of years. I wonder if you could have got a couple more pieces there, and not some pitchers, but some guys who can really help you out in the position field side of things, where I think personally the White Sox are struggling a little bit more in terms of depth than they are in the mound. The Padres are also going to get a B-, but this time with a question mark, just because I really still have no clue what the hell AJ Preller is doing. Basically, the return for Juan Soto, for all intents and purposes, is Dylan Cease for 2 years, Michael King, and a couple other smaller level prospects. Plus, you're giving up a couple more guys on top of that to get Dylan Cease. I just do not love this deal for them, and I think looking at the bigger picture, this just doesn't make sense. If you're getting Dylan Cease, that tells me you're either A, looking to flip him at the trade deadline and get more pieces back, which I think is a decent probability, or you think you can go all in. If you think you can go all in, I think AJ Preller is delusional after trading away Juan Soto and not making the postseason last year. It's not like they gave up a ton, which is why I think a B- is a fair grade, but again, I'm just curious as to why even make this deal. It doesn't make sense from the Padres' perspective, but because they didn't sell the farm and they have a decently deep farm system, I don't hate it for them. Maybe they have a couple aces up their sleeve. We already know Jackson Merrill is going to play center field, and he has the potential to be a superstar, all-star, potential Hall of Famer type prospect. So maybe he's been really impressive behind the scenes, and that's what they want. I'm not holding out hope, but you never know exactly how things are going to end up. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. I really appreciate it. There'll be 2 videos right here on the screen to watch those if you're interested, and that baseball in the middle or the link in the description will help you subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. Make sure to answer the question of the day in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next video.